Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. So we got Tesla's P&D report for Q4 this morning, and the delivery figure, 418,227. The company compiled consensus was just under 423,000, but the whisper number amongst Wall Street analysts was closer to 410,000. For the other models line, the Model SX and Cybertruck, all three of those combined for 11,642 for Q4. My guess would be about 3,500 of those would be Cybertruck, and the remaining 8,000 or so would be split between the Model S and X. And frankly, even if this 11,600 number was all Cybertruck, which it's not, that would still be below the expectations where, once again, most of us thought the Cybertruck would be at this stage of the game. Millions of pre-orders and a listed manufacturing capacity over 125,000. And yet, for now, the Cybertruck is likely stalled out between 3,000 and 7,000 units per quarter. And listen, I get why someone would say that the standard Model 3 and Y were not successful, but I do think that's pretty lazy and way too early to say. Those variants didn't launch in the US until October this year, and it's going to take a few months for people to realize they're available. And the problem is we don't know what Tesla's sales would have been for the quarter if those were not available. Would they have been 410,000, 400,000, 380,000? You get the picture. I will touch on the energy number in a second, but I want to continue with the autos first. This means for 2025, Tesla did 1.636 million deliveries. For 2024, it was 1.789 million. And for 2023, it was 1.808 million. Which means from 2023 to 2024, Tesla sales were down 1.07% year over year. And then from 2024 to this year, Tesla sales were down 8.56%. And this is the transcript from the Q3 2024 earnings call. Elon said, at the risk of taking a bit of risk here, I do want to give a rough estimate, which I think it's 20 to 30% vehicle growth next year, notwithstanding negative external events, like if there's some force majeure event. I think with our lower cost vehicles with the advent of autonomy, something like a 20 to 30% growth next year is my best guess. And using the baseline number from 2024, 20% growth would have been 2.147 million units for 2025, and 30% growth would have meant 2.325 million units for last year. Elon's prediction was 20 to 30% positive EV sales growth, but the reality came in at a negative 8.56%. Said another way, Elon was off by about 600,000 units. Here's a chart from Roland showing auto deliveries, and you can see they have peaked in 2023 and been on a decline since then. And as I apparently controversially said on X, yes, we can point the finger at Tesla and say they need to advertise more. If you've been following along with the channel, you'll know I have been saying that ever since Tesla's annual sales have started this decline. For a while, I was on board with it. Just make the best products and everything will take care of itself. And for a long time, that worked. But as was just shown, for the past 2 years, that's no longer working. So yes, we can point the finger to some degree to Tesla and say they need to do more. But I'm just saying I think we can also point the finger at the average mainstream consumer. I won't read everything, but the summary of what I said was they're either terrible at product research or they've been fed so much anti-EV and anti-Elon propaganda, they have lost the ability to think rationally. That's because millions of people around the world are paying $40,000 plus for vehicles that are not a Tesla, which in my opinion is a great example of the negative impact of InfoWars and the media largely getting away with saying whatever they want to propagate their own agendas and push a narrative. So all I'm saying is that the data's out there, the videos and the content, they're all freely available. Anyone without a brainwashed brain can go find information about Tesla, about why it's a great product and a great value. But in my opinion, there's just so many people that aren't willing to hear it because they have these preconceived notions about electric vehicles and charging. And of course, Elon and his politics are having some impact. So even if Tesla were to advertise more, it might not move the needle as much as we think because so many people are propagandized into being anti-EV and anti-Tesla. And so don't take this as making excuses for Tesla. I'll say it again, they should be advertising more than they are given current sales figures and the status of FSD that most people are clueless about. But at some point, I think some of the blame needs to go on the mainstream consumer. They need to wake up from their stupor and learn how to cut through all of the noise, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And as I've said, auto deliveries are insignificant at this point. As long as they can hold above 1.5 million or so every year, it should continue to bridge us to the next chapter of Robotaxi and Optimus. As long as the auto gross margins and the cash flow remain positive, which we have every indication they will, that business line is serving its purpose of an in-house VC in a sense, and it's also growing the fleet to eventually have Robotaxi capabilities and of course to gather more data. But at this point, I just think it's okay, and it's fair to say that these numbers are disappointing given what we know about the company and where we all want to go in terms of a sustainable, cleaner, and safer future. And I'll be honest, I'm more looking forward to Q1 to see where things might stabilize and possibly, hopefully, bottom out. Q4 was relatively noisy with the Q3 pull forward given the EV tax credit going away. So for me, Q1 and Q2 will be interesting. But on the energy side in Q4, Tesla deployed 14.2 gigawatt hours of storage, a new record. Energy deployments for the year were 46.7 gigawatt hours. Looking at another chart from Roland, you'll see that is significant growth compared to the just over 30 gigawatt hour number for 2024. And the energy storage business is still in its infancy, but it's growing rapidly, really with no signs of slowing down. I love this chart that Cern Basher put together. He took the energy storage business and broke it down into 75 kilowatt hour EV equivalents. So if you assume the average Tesla vehicle has a pack size of 75 kilowatt hours, these numbers, the energy EV equivalents, would show how many air quote vehicles the energy business is actually doing. Said another way, if you look at the Q4 number, that's 622,667, if you multiply that by 75 kilowatt hours, that gives you the 46.7 gigawatt hours that Tesla Energy did. And yes, that number was for the full year 2025, but each bar here is a trailing 12-month period. Meaning Tesla's energy business, if you break it down into a car equivalent, is showing very strong, consistent growth. And when you break it down in terms of how many batteries Tesla is deploying into the world, the energy business has already exceeded the auto business. And if you do the math, comparing the TTM of Q4 this year to Q4 last year, that's a 48% growth rate. And guess what? The gross margins on Tesla's energy business are nearly double what they are on the auto side. And another great chart from Cern, over the last 12 months, Tesla has deployed roughly 170 gigawatt hours between both the auto and energy lines. 123 gigawatt hours came from the auto business and 47 came from energy. Meaning that's roughly 70% from auto and 30% from energy. So Tesla Energy really is serving as an incredible bridge to help Tesla get through this transition period. And I do think this is the best way to look at Tesla's business right now, not just autos or just energy, but how they're both combining. Because when you really boil it down, that's what Tesla's doing, deploying batteries into the market. They're just doing it in different form factors. So while the auto business has stagnated, the energy business is making up the difference, and then some, with a gross margin profile more attractive than the auto business. And then lastly, if you look at Tesla's current capacity of battery output, we're looking at about 225 gigawatt hours from the auto side with Tesla's current ability to make about 3 million vehicles per year, and an additional 100 gigawatt hours from Lathrop, Shanghai, and Powerball. And don't forget Tesla's third megafactory in Houston under construction that will add between 40 to 50 gigawatt hours to this number. Meaning Tesla has the ability to scale these numbers significantly, certainly on the energy side, which is going to happen. And for now, unless something changes on the auto side, we're really just stuck waiting for unsupervised to actually go wide. So overall, more or less in line with expectations, and I do get the frustration with the auto business. I share it to some degree, but when you factor in energy were still growing overall, and the auto business with a lower gross margin profile is being replaced with a higher gross margin energy business, which is not the worst place to be as we wait for the next wave of growth to crash. On New Year's Eve, Ashley and I went over to a friend's house, and it had snowed a lot during the day, so the roads were not plowed. Of course, I saw it as an opportunity to test FSD, but Ashley is not nearly as comfortable with FSD or experienced as I am, so I wanted to share a few quick blips of her experience. Before I do, I want to be clear, I did have my left hand ready to take over at any time, but yes, I did record this manually with my hand because I was not planning to record for this drive, but the conditions were too good, and by good I mean bad, to not see how FSD would handle it. It was 14.2.2.2 with Michelin X Ice snow tires, and it handled the entire 15-minute drive on unplowed, very hilly back roads no problem and got us to our destination safely. I did disengage once, but it was only because it was going to take a longer route and we were already late, but I re-engaged right after the intersection once the navigation adjusted.
Oh, if it goes straight, I might throw up.
Why?
Because of that hill, like it's crazy, especially when there's no one plowing. Like it's bad. I simply don't know if I can watch, and maybe might have to say like a prayer beforehand, because it's just like I really hope we're not going that way. Like, can we not go that way? Please don't. I'm freaking out right now. I hate this hill in the winter. It is awful. Because there's like a part here that is like by a bridge, and I'm not loving it. Holy crap. Oh my god. We're alive!
Then on the way home, I didn't film, but I did get the red wheel of death pretty early on as the conditions were even worse and it was super windy, and Ashley ended up asking me to take the main streets home, and so I did. But I'm still very impressed with the speed control in bad conditions, and there are plenty of people that would not go out with the roads like this. And I really did not think we would see this type of snow performance from Tesla for another year or so, but clearly they're doing more snow testing than they're leading on. And look, I'm not saying I'm ready to be in the back seat in these conditions, because I showed an instance of it sliding a few weeks back, and if I wasn't in the seat, there's a good chance we would have ended up hitting a pole. Not fatally or anything like that, but there likely would have been some damage. But overall, I'm still very encouraged with the progress on this front. Questions remain about keeping the cameras clean with all of the salt and the dirt, but I have to say, the current state of FSD in snow like this is much better than I was expecting at this point. Doge designer said Cybercab is truly a piece of art, to which Elon said, and there's so much to this car that is not obvious on the surface, so what could he be talking about? It's certainly numerous things, but one of them could be this: a patent recently published by Tesla switching circuits to reduce leakage current in inductive charging, aka a new patent for wireless charging. It's a method of wireless power transfer that can include toggling a switching circuit of a ground pad alternately and sequentially between a first switch configuration and a second switch configuration with an unbalanced duty cycle. The voltage across a resonant tank electrically connected to the switching circuit can be different from a medium voltage for both the first switch and the second switch. So what this means with most wireless charging setups like this, in the pad that's on the ground and on the bottom of the vehicle, you're going to have coils in each. It's the coils that are creating these magnetic fields to ultimately transfer the power. But to date, a lot of these systems will put the circuit in neutral or a medium voltage state, like halfway between fully on and fully off. But that's where the problem arises. Without going too far into the weeds, just know when the power levels are in that medium voltage voltage range, that's typically where the leakage is the worst. So with Tesla's new patent, it looks like the plan will be to spend most, if not all, of the charging time in high or low voltage states. Maybe 75% high and 25% on low, avoiding that medium range altogether. And ultimately, by Tesla avoiding that medium voltage range, that's going to drop the leakage basically close to zero. And as we should expect from Tesla at this point, the switching between high and low voltage will be happening automatically. So it's a smart system that reacts based on the status of the battery. And I do think it's worth explaining what this resonant tank actually is. This is the core of what Tesla has laid out in this patent. In my research, the easiest way I found to think about this is like pushing a child on a swing. When you push that child with perfect rhythm, meaning every time they start to go forward, you just push them a little bit more and they'll continue to go higher and higher almost effortlessly. So it's all about rhythm and the resonance. So the resonant tank is basically an electrical swing, which is made up of two parts, an inductor and a capacitor. The inductor is usually that coil of wire, and then the capacitor is an electrical component that can store energy. So in short, Tesla has found a way to have the wireless charging pad on the ground and whatever they'll have on the bottom of the car to easily be tuned to that same resonant frequency, which reduces nearly all efficiency losses specifically from that leakage. And so it's this resonance frequency tuning that Tesla has figured out that should make the system a lot more efficient than the regular old inductive charging. So this resonance tuning that Tesla has figured out should allow the power to transfer more efficiently, even if the distance between the pads is a bit further or if the car isn't perfectly centered over the pad. Whereas the efficiency of older inductive charging would drop way off in those scenarios. Now, the real question, remember when MKBHD said that Tesla's wireless charging would maybe be 75% efficient? But the official Tesla account called him out and said the efficiency of wireless charging is well above 90%. That was October 2024, so there's a chance this patent and what Tesla's working on has increased that number, but well above 90% to me would be at least 95%. But either way, the good news is it sounds like we're on a march of the nines when it comes to Tesla's wireless charging efficiency. Tesla now has leasing options available for both the standard Model Y and Model 3. The Model Y is at $479 a month, and the Model 3 is at $449 per month. And the Model Y Performance is now available for lease at $799 a month. All three of those are with $3,000 down for 36 months and 10,000 miles per year. Tesla did file a Form 4 for Elon this week, but as always, go down to the footnotes and read the green parts. Tesla said, in connection with Elon's year-end tax planning, this represents a bona fide gift of Tesla stock to certain charities who have advised Elon and Tesla that they have no current intention to sell such stock. All we know for sure is these 210,000 shares of Tesla stock are now owned by Elon's revocable trust. So no, Elon did not sell Tesla stock. He gifted it for tax purposes to his charitable trust. And whoever the ultimate recipient will be, they have said they do not plan to sell. So, Billie Eilish, since you publicly slammed Elon for not being generous enough, according to you, my question for you now would be, what have you done lately? Tesla has been quietly expanding its rental program to other states like Florida and Michigan, but unfortunately so far I have not really seen any feedback on how this program is going. And to be clear, as far as I can tell, this program is not yet available in states like Michigan and Florida. Tesla has just filed for that. If you missed it, this program allows people to rent Teslas direct from Tesla, usually short-term between 3 and 7 days, starting at about $60 per day, but you get unlimited miles in the state, unlimited supercharging, complimentary FSD, and some other cool features, but per the usual, the problem is there is very little information about this program available, even if you're looking for it. So if I'm struggling to find information about how to actually take advantage of this program, I can guarantee you the average consumer has no idea what's happening. And I know it's still early, so this program is going to need a few months to really be spun up, but I'm hoping Tesla does a better job of informing the general public about this opportunity. In case you see the reporting out there about Tesla starting mass production of Optimus in Q1 this year, aiming for 50 to 100,000 Optimus unit capacity by the end of this year, I just want to say no, absolutely not. And look, I'm sure there are some Chinese component suppliers that Tesla is currently working with to get things in place for the eventual beginning of production, but these numbers for production this year are just completely absurd. Ming is another account that sometimes gets things right, but other times takes things too far. So I'm not sure of the extent of this, but they said it's happening. A new Tesla software update has officially started a massive rollout in China. And this one does have FSD 13.2.9. I have not found any sources out of China that are saying Tesla has some new level of approval for FSD in the country. So I'm going to say, at least for now, this is not going to be a massive fleet-wide rollout in China of FSD, but perhaps something to watch over the next few weeks. I believe with the new year, everyone's Tesla referral links will reset. So of course, if you guys ever need one, I'll have mine in the description below. And as always, I just want to say a quick thank you for all of the support in many different ways over the years. It really does mean more to me than you guys will ever know. Rivian also put out its delivery figures, and this year they produced 42,284 and delivered 42,247. That delivery figure is down about 18% from last year, but it was right in line with expectations. As we've known for a while though, all eyes for Rivian will be watching what they can do with the gross margins. And we'll have to wait until February 12th to see if they've made any progress on that front. Nate from X said 2026 is the year of XAI, to which Elon said, and SpaceX, Tesla, and Neuralink and Boring Company. 2026 will be something special. Tesla stock closed the day at $438.07, down 2.59%, while the NDX was down 0.17%. The volume was 13% above the average. Hope you all have a wonderful and safe first weekend of 2026, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.